So it's always up, down, up, down. And the release as you go up, you see releases here. Now I'll explain that a little bit in more detail when we get to the so-called up and down stroke. Right now we have 7 basic fundamental strokes. We have a single stroke, we have a double stroke, we have a flam, we have a wrist stroke, we have a rebound, we have an upstroke, and we have a downstroke. I must place particular emphasis on the upstroke because it's the only means we have of releasing whatever tension we build up on the downstroke. And the upstroke is made by starting it from a low position and just bending the wrist slightly. Try that one. Just bend the wrist. Now let it come in contact with the drum. That's right. And hold it up above. Hold it there. Now again, you see, as we get up to the top of the stroke, the stick is already away from the palm and it's pointing toward the ceiling. And we cock the wrist again to determine how much thrust we have to add to the stroke. And then as we come down, the middle finger also adds its own amount of thrust as it comes toward the palm. So it's release, tight, loose, tight. Now try that. Right. So you see, the release is merely the fact that you're not trying to strike the drum. It's the fact that you can't avoid it. Because the minute you bend your wrist, if you're that low, it's going to make its little tap. And the minute this bends, it releases all the tension in your forearm. So you play loose, tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, which also is, again, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. See how that begins to work? You want to try a couple of those?
All right.
That's right. Now hold it a minute. Now cock your wrist more as you go up, because you see your only thrust comes from the rate of speed at which you turn your wrist. No, you see, you're raising your arm and you're pointing downward. Turn. That's right. That's where all the horsepower is. That's right. See, that's where the horsepower is. From this thrust here, not here. Because all this does is make you raise your arm and poke your elbow out.
Wasted motion.
That's right. So it's here. You're practically looking at your open palm as you make your blow. See? So it doesn't require a big bend to release. Tiny little bend. That's right. Good.
Okay.
And now, Lou, let's demonstrate some single strokes. That's great. Now try some double strokes. All right, I'd like to hear a couple of more of those crescendo rolls, right from scratch. Now it sounds great. Well, you want to get bold? Let's try some 3 strokes at a clip. How about a few flams?
Okay.
Now close your flams. Slow them up. It's better start a little slower. Now close it up so that it doesn't sound patum. Make it sound plum, plum, plum. Use an upstroke on your left hand.
Okay.
Just release it. See?
Count that again.
All right. Okay, so actually, all that you're doing is you're making an up and a downstroke.
Right.
That's all that's happening in either hand. You want to try a few drags?
Okay.
A roughs? Increase your speed now. Faster yet. Now here, all you're doing is an up and down stroke, and you're allowing the 2 beats to rebound.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You can understand?
Right.
It's all one and the same idea. Oh, how about some 4-stroke roughs? Now you can have a party going from if you want to go from 2 wrist strokes and ultimately work them into 2 rebounds and then increase your rebounds into a roll. Go ahead.
Okay. In other words, mix up what I've been doing.
Right.
Going to flams.
Fine. Well, that's about as far as we can go until we get into some continuity. You want to try that?
Okay.
Okay. Try a rough, which consists of just a rebound in one hand and a wrist stroke in the opposite hand. Just sounds brum, 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 brum. Try that.
Alternate it or just on one
No,
side?
just one way.
One side.
Increase your speed now. All right. Now, if you slow down the rebound in your left hand and you time your right hand earlier so that it meets the second beat of the rebound, you will now have the thumb, the thumb, the thumb. Try that. And play that from hand to hand. Okay, so you're still playing an up and a down stroke. You notice that the hands work the same way.
Right.
They release going up, and they're tight coming down. Now, that is called a flam accent number 2, the stroke you just played. Now, we're in 6/8 time. Now, if you took the same 3 strokes, but start with the flam, and you put it in 2/4 time, we would have tlapa, 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 tlapa. Try that. Increase your speed and go faster. All right, now you have a flam tap.
Flam tap. Right.
Now let's go back to the 6/8
Okay.
and go into the flam accent number 2 just one way. Da-tlum, 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 da-tlum. Try that. Now, if you play the same thing and just add one additional beat or a rebound in your right hand, it'll sound da-tlapa, da-tlapa, da-tlapa. Try that. And that's called a Swiss triplet. That's right. So everything I'm talking about can be done either way, one way or the other way. Now let's go into an alternate of that Swiss triplet, which would be the flam accent number 1. Now just play a number 2 one way, da-tlum, and an upstroke in the opposite hand. Da-tlum. No, an upstroke. Da-tlum, up. No, but you're already raising that.
Oh.
Well, you make the upstroke. No. Da-tlum, and keep it down here and then go up. Up. Yeah. No, no. Play the stroke. Da-tlum, up. But you haven't made a stroke. Make it. That's right.
I see.
Try that again. Now, no, just hold it. Do the same thing. Now hold that. Now you're in position to play the same thing in the opposite hand, the top boom. No, you play the downstroke, an upstroke. The top boom. Up. That's right. Now you're in position to alternate it.
Now I'm playing a flam accent now?
You're
Number
playing
one.
a flam accent number one. Da tlapa, da tlapa, da tlapa, da tlapa. So you see, you can derive all of these strokes. If proper continuity is used, it makes the whole thing much simpler because one stroke leads you into the next stroke.
Right.
So they don't get anywhere near as complicated as you would imagine. And it's a much simpler way. You've seen how long did it take us to explain that? Very few minutes. And you begin to understand what's going on. Very simple. You know, there's one thing that I've always marveled about. The average legitimate drummer plays a beautiful open roll, plays the worst closed roll that I've ever heard, because they're never taught to play a closed roll. He plays beautiful closed rolls, and I can't get him to play an open roll.
Oh, he can do it.
Play an open roll without crushing him.
Without crushing it. Like that?
Yeah, but I want it more open than that.
More open.
That's what I'm talking about. Where you get a very even open roll without the third beat added in.
Yeah. And then be able to still. And now, Murray, I'd like to demonstrate on the drum set all these wonderful things that you gave me, the basic training and the wonderful teachings that you've done for me for so many years. I'd like to show our audience some of that technique on the drum set.
I'd love to hear it. By all means.